Real quick, just tapping in to talk about and discuss, god damn it, why following the government doesn't make any fucking sense. Now look, you don't have to be a genius. You don't gotta be an A plus student. You don't gotta have a degree from Harvard. Take a look at what the government is trying to implement as far as a plan and whatever is going on right now as some shit that makes sense. You know what I'm saying? Like it doesn't make sense for the government to decide to go drop a bunch of bombs on some foreign land because they believe aluminum oil, aluminum pipes to make some bombs. So we're in a world right now where basically pretty much the government is just feels free to justify whatever it is that they are doing. Basically, we're not following a government that has a sense of logic. We're following a group of people, we're following the government, we're following members of parliament that have a desire. And that desire has to do with a particular agenda that is being exuded by the puppets that are underneath that agenda, right? When you look at the rap industry, when you look at the music industry, what's being promoted, what's being sounded, what's being for people to resonate with and stuff like that, right? When you look at what's being done with the food, when you're being done with the education system, right? It's very interesting to see that people that are not quote unquote in the education system are smarter than the people with the education system because at some point even education just becomes a form of indoctrination. So education is really being used as a tool, as a weapon to exude and tell people, liminally program people into this way of thinking, into this way of to make sense out of the world the way that the government want us to make sense out of the world, right? Like any person with a brain can can sit back and be, man, inflation doesn't really make much sense. Like all this fucking inflation making the common man fight for some apple in the store, making bread prices go crazy. Anyone what's going on within the economy, anyone can look at what's going on within society as it doesn't make sense. It literally doesn't make no sense, right? Like we have countries right now that are talking about how they quote unquote have a population issue, right? But when we look at the relationship culture and the relationship dynamic that's being promoted and implemented by these different groups that are, supported by the government and stuff like that are funded by the government, right? You can see how like that agenda doesn't produce the result of a higher population, but a lesser population because the goal isn't for people to be free. The goal isn't freedom. The goal isn't, for people to be happy. The goal isn't for people to, spiritually evolve, to, become more aware, more spiritually inclined. No, the goal is just to dumbify people down. The goal is to dumb people down. So if I want to dumb people down, then I'm going to use the instruments that are available to me. It just so happens that the people that run the bigger toolkit than the average person, meaning that if I have an intention, I can put it out with a video, I can put it out with a song, I can put it out, with whatever medium is available to me. But when you're a government member, when you have access to tools like reforming education, reforming the health agency that approve of, okay, you can farm this if you do it like this. Because a lot of these farms have soil that is depleted of nutrition. So the stuff that we eat at the grocery store is depleted from nutrition, meaning that we are actually in a society where we are malnutrition. Because you can be in the most advanced economy, but you can still be malnutrition. That doesn't make sense. So that tells me that the education system that whatever it is that we are indoctrinated by, is misleading, misdirecting us. So this is a mass marketing indoctrination campaign that's been going on since fucking a long time ago and shit like. So if we're not, if people as a society, right? Because the average person look at what's going on right now in this matrix and be like, damn, you know what? Something doesn't really make sense. Something just doesn't add up. Like 1 plus 2 doesn't equal 3, equal fucking 2. So there's a problem where we're questioning the society and the time that we're in, because it's really just an agenda that's being implemented. And when an agenda is being implemented, when I have a rhetoric and a narrative, when I keep promoting it, it's really because someone has a desire. So we need to look at the government, everyone in the government, like they basically have a desire and they're willing to do whatever it takes to get that desire. See, when someone has a desire, what they're doing doesn't necessarily have to make sense, right? It's like, because when you look at society, when you look at life, it's not, law doesn't make sense. It's not reasonable. Like, it's not reasonable for me to sit here and tell a 12-year-old that if you feel like a woman and you're a dude, you need a sex change operation and we need to expedite your changing process. It doesn't make sense, right? So something is off, something is weird, because a lot of things in society don't fucking make sense. So when something doesn't make sense, it's really because someone has a desire for something, right? And they're willing to use this higher form of reasoning. They're willing to manipulate information, right? To sit back and motherfucking manipulate words. Because when you look at a politician talking, that's the high someone manipulating words, logic, communicating in like a lying ass way, but trying to make sense out of it. It's just so manipulative with words and shit like that. So it's really crazy, right? Hey, I came from TikTok. Hey, what's up, Mysterio and shit like that, right? So that's what I'm trying to say, man. We live in a world that literally doesn't fucking make sense. Like it doesn't make sense for us to sit here at work, be pissed. Because why are we living for the physical? Think about it, right? A lot of us could be at work, pissed off, angry. Because why are we living for the physical? We should be living for the spiritual. So for spiritual beings, we should be living and doing spiritual spiritual shit. Not trying to sit down at work, get a hammer, build something, all to the point that your internal state of being is so fucked up to the point that they put stuff for you at the gas stations. Hey, come smoke this cigarette. It's gonna help alleviate. I mean, they don't tell you that, but we do toxic stuff to deal with our own internal pattern. Because whenever you have an internal toxic environment, you're also going to create a toxic life externally, right? And this toxic life is being seen as the norm. Like when I was this gas station, there was this drink. It was called like toxic sludge. So it's like being toxic is seen as the norm. Having a high amount of toxicity is seen as the norm. And when you have an environment of a high amount of toxicity, it's like you it's like you just create this environment inside of you for disease where you feel uneasy about yourself internally, so you might even create uneasiness, disease for other people externally and shit like that, right? Mooney Merker Baby said exactly. They're only getting away with this because it was already implemented, not because it's truly accepted or makes sense. Exactly. So it's like this algorithm, this rhythm that everybody is jumping in. We keep following the bread, the carrots that they throw down. It's us not realizing that if we keep following that bread, if we keep following that carrot that's being laid out to us, eventually, just like a rabbit, we're gonna get caught up in a trap. And we're gonna be like, oh shit, how do we get back here? How do we get here? It's because we wasn't looking at the motion, like the the influences that we was caught up in mentally that got us there. Because for you to even do something externally, you got to be first in a state of being internally like that, right? So yeah, it's like this. It's like this program that's pre-implemented, and since your family been doing it, your grandfather been doing it, her grandmother been doing it, right? If you got to be that child that just sits and questions everything, like it doesn't actually make sense because your mother and father, hey, your family, they're gonna tell you like, no, 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 this makes sense. You need to go do this. You need to go get a job because this is the right thing to do within the pre-established paradigm that they have in their heads. So they're gonna program you to do that as well, right? So it's just crazy how we don't. Because look, the thing is, it's like this, right? Because I've talked to a bunch of people. Everyone is pretty much questioning it. No one is sitting back at this point like, nah, this makes sense. No, everyone is looking at back shit like this shit doesn't fucking make sense. But now the doing aspect of whole different beast. Because hey, a bunch of people say a bunch of shit every day. I'm gonna lose weight. I'm gonna stop smoking crack. Hey, I'm gonna change my life. But barely anyone does that. So just the transition from the saying it and the doing it, that's going to be a whole other battle, whole other fight, right? So it's just amazing to me because it's like people can sit here and say it, but let's be honest, people would rather be comfortable because it's an easy thing to do. Just be comfortable, man. Sit back at home, eat a bunch of ice cream. Hey, man, whatever it is, whatever it is, people just be doing it, man. And it's just a crazy world that we live in, man. Like nothing just makes fucking sense. Damn. So it's crazy, dude. It's crazy. It's a crazy world, man. But yeah, that's all I kind of had. Real quick live. Gonna get back to this bitch ass job I got, and then yeah, see y'all later. Peace out.